Hey everybody, Jason here. Before we get started on this episode of Third Action, episode 108, I wanted to give you all a little bit of a content warning. It's pretty minor, I hope. During the course of this episode, our party eventually makes their way over to the Iron Cages of Lust. And while they're there, as you might suspect based on the name, there's some sexual content, language, jokey jokes, innuendo, that sort of stuff. If you don't want to hear that, if it makes you feel uncomfortable or squeamish for any reason, if it makes you feel things you don't want to feel, just skip this episode, please, I beg you. And just jump straight to episode probably 110 is going to be the safe point. I'll make sure to recap everything that's happened so that you don't have to feel like you missed anything. No judgment from me. Do what you got to do. Just wanted to put that out there just in case it applies to you. Likewise, while I'm on my soapbox, if you're a GM and you've got similar content, any content of a sexual or otherwise potentially questionable nature, make sure you discuss it with your players first. It doesn't have to be spoilerful, but make sure that they're aware of the types of things that could come up so that they have a chance to prepare themselves or say no if they don't want to be involved in that sort of content. Try not to judge people for it. You can't really know what other people's issues are, so just be a human, be reasonably accepting of other people's issues and move on. Likewise, I wanted to also mention before we get there that the Iron Cages of Lust involves characters that can use enchanting magic to control people. I have zero intention of using that kind of magic to control people into doing sexual acts, and you should not ever do that either if you're a GM, or if you're a player. It's weird, it's gross, it's... sure, it's technically possible, but it's a game. Maybe the game is not the right time to do that sort of thing. It's just a bad idea all around, and stick to using it to control people to open doors or give you free items at the magic shop or whatever. Don't use it to abuse people's control over their character bodies. That's... yeah. It's making me grossed out thinking about it. But just wanted to make sure that you all know that that's not going to happen, so feel free to not worry about that. It's mostly just going to take the form of me joking about what characters are doing in the background more than anything that the players are up to. So, with that said, I hope you enjoy the episode. If you do stick around, otherwise, catch you in episode 110. Later. Hello, and good evening once again. Welcome to another episode of Third Action. I'm your lovely host, Jason, and these are the same three mustard jellies that were here last week. In the bottom left, we have Char playing Asherford, Human Ranger.
Finally got my Zoom filters to work, so now I have a mustache.
How quaint. In the bottom middle, we have Greshy, Ironroot, Dwarf, and Druid, played by Will.
Oh, my filters have worked the whole time. I don't know what the problem's been.
And in the bottom right, we have Gunn, Shough, Human Champion of Erastil, played by Adam.
I have candy. I'm good.
All right. So last time on Third Action, our group of intrepid adventurers fought a mustard jelly, and I think that's kind of all that happened.
And a mustard jelly, and a mustard jelly, and a mustard jelly.
And a mustard jelly, and another one, and another one.
Another.
There was lots of mustard to go around. You eventually defeated it, knocking the last piece of jelly out into a seemingly endless void. Satisfied with your exploration,
which will never return.
Yes, it'll never return. Satisfied with your
Thank goodness.
with your exploration of the ruins of Envy, you decided to return to the central part of the Runeforge, where I believed you were going to... you had formulated a plan to perhaps check out the Wrath Wing of the Runeforge for, I think, 2 reasons. The first of which was that some of you surmised that perhaps the devastation there in the Envy Wing was maybe caused by somebody using wrath magic. And I think secondarily there was some desire to perhaps meet with followers of Elasnist who might have some kind of vendetta against Karzug specifically, due to their sort of positional rivalry on the in the real world. All right, I think that about covers it. So let's go ahead and get right back into it. What would you guys like to do? So you guys are currently in the Runeforge Central. Gunn, I accidentally put in the void. One moment, let me devoid you. But I
we will never see him again.
Now that the DM is totally prepared for us to go to the Wrathwing, should we go to the one of the other ones?
Yes.
I mean, did we want to go to one of the other ones, or was Wrath where we wanted to go?
I mean, it was until we have the opportunity to screw up the whole plan, and then
Okay. Well,
does that take priority?
I mean, no, I think the priority right now is probably should figure out where we can find more information about these rune weapons, I suppose. Is it Runeforge weapons?
Yeah, rune. Let's check the note. The Runeforged Weapons Project. Well, go figure. We go to the Rune Forge and we're going to forge some runes.
Not sure about that one, but close enough. But I thought that the Wrath people were the ones who destroyed those halls because it looks pretty thoroughly devastated in there, but I'm also making an assumption based on just the amount of devastation.
Yep. How dare you stereotype Wrath in such a harmful way, don't you know?
I would move, but I can't see anything on the map.
Jason is helping move us along as we argue about going to Wrath, on our way to Wrath.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
Pretty much.
Really?
I see my character, and it looks like my character's in the dark because he cannot see.
Oh, is
very
it that
far.
same issue that Roll20's had before?
Yeah, this happened in another game where...
Hi, Steve.
Let me try turning off
Shout out
daylight
to Steve.
mode. And then turning daylight mode back on. Can you see now?
Oh, I see. Yes.
Okay.
I can see.
Yeah, that seems to be the issue. They've messed up something with daylight mode, I guess. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the last episode, you guys were already walking down the corridor towards Wrath based on your assumptions. So
Where are we?
Yep, that is what you said. In the interest of not rehashing the same discussion you just had at the end of the last episode, let's
Yeah, I think Greshy made the right call.
We're going to Wrath.
We're arguing about it as we go down the hall.
Yeah.
Okay. What order do you guys want to be in?
You want to go first, Gunn, or is this good?
Yeah, I'll take the front. Rock will take the back.
Oh yes, I forgot he was behind me. I'll be here.
He's kind
So
of
this is our order then.
if he's walking, but maybe he can hop and fly partway.
So going
it's-
Greshy and Phelan, Asher, and then Rock.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, you guys start making your way down the hall.
Making our way downtown.
It is a long hall, just like all the
Yeah.
others.
I would say give me a good 20 foot. What was the range on that one last time? Maybe I should stay about 30 foot ahead of everyone.
I suppose something like that would be fine, but that also puts you at a range of just don't go further than 30 feet.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay. So as you guys are making your way down the hall, the lights, the kind of omnipresent light of the central changer starts to fade.
One moment.
And dim. Okay.
Okay.
The light starts to dim and fade, and you start to see up ahead small gouts of flame lining the hallway. They're up kind of where lanterns would be, but they're just kind of floating there. Just little wisps of fire, kind of alternating left and right down the hall as you go. This hull, so the other hulls were about 10 feet across. This one starts to widen a bit as the light grows redder and redder, and eventually becomes about, what is that, 10, 20 feet across? And you can start to see, after walking for what feels like 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're not really sure, you can see that the path clearly opens up to what looks like a much wider chamber. It's still a ways ahead. No problem. Just describing the walk for you. You can see, up ahead is some kind of massive chamber that the hull is opening up to. And you can clearly see the mark of wrath, this kind of rune that looks like two elongated fangs, is emblazoned on the floor of this massive chamber. At the far end, you can see what looks like a just kind of a stone column up against the wall. But you can't see, because of how short the hallway is, you can't really see to the top of whatever this column is. So as you guys approach this room, let's see. You want to do anything before you even get close? Okay.
Let me see. No, I think we saw a similar rune in the other chamber, and it did not turn out to be a problem. It was the stuff around that was the problem. That was just like an indicator, right? But what I'm curious is, do we have the same feelings of, positive or negative pressure that we did in the previous two areas?
You haven't felt anything yet. Things feel fairly normal so far. But you're still a good, you're still in the hall, and you can see this chamber is up. It's still a good 50 feet ahead of you. Is where the hallway opens up into the chamber. What are you guys doing? Are you holding weapons? Are you detecting magic? Is somebody scouting ahead, etc., etc.? What are y'all up to, exploration?
I would say weapons out, shields up, and just a minute.
Okay. What about the other two of you?
Suppose Greshy will have his staff out just in case, but otherwise we'll be attempting to detect magic and see if there's anything inherently magical standing out nearby.
Okay. And Asher?
Oh, well, I can't detect magic, and I'm kind of in a weird place to do scouting. I guess I can look for signs of creatures or things that have walked this way, since there was a slime in the other room that kind of got the drop on us.
Okay.
So maybe just seeing if there's anything.
Okay. Cool. In that case, let me see. Alright, so Asher, I'll start with you. You're just looking to see if there are any kind of signs of tracks or creatures or any signs of combat in the hall. Doesn't look like it. You see the path, the stones are fairly worn, and clearly worn from boot prints, heavy boot prints. It looks like over a very, very long period of time, a large number of people have walked through here. You can't really pick any signs out of anything being more or less recent, but you don't see any signs of no animal fur, no signs of like slime or anything else like that. No strange creature markings. Looks like largely people have passed through this chamber. Greshy, you pinging the area for magic. As you go down the hall, you clearly pick up signs of evocation magic from the little flames that dance along the hall, but they seem to be harmless. Just
Makes sense.
Just simple evocation magic to produce light. But assuming that you guys continue up towards this chamber, let's switch maps. So as you reach
That's a big
this
symbol.
large chamber, you can see the symbol of wrath emblazoned in the center.
There it is.
And each of you feels that pressure that Gunn was bracing himself for finally hits upon sight of this symbol. For Asher, it's odd. You've never been a particularly angry person. You've never been a particularly outgoingly kind person either. You've always kept to yourself. You've always worried about the needs of you and yours over over perhaps like society at large, or you've never really given handouts when not asked for it. You've never gone out of your way to do people kindness that wasn't things that you were already going to be doing anyway, or things that you kind of felt like you should be doing. But there is something more recent that has, on sight of that symbol, the first thing that pops into your mind is Razorhorn. You get that flash, that those draconic eyes staring at you, and something in you just kind of deeply like wells up, and you feel like a flash of anger. It's just a spark. It's not quite enough to push you into full attunement with wrath, but it is there, and you feel like you're close to something. Perhaps something, a part of you that's dangerous and that you'd want to bury, or perhaps something that you wish that you could embrace. That is kind of up to you, but you're unaffected by wrath. Let's see. Greshy. As you make your way towards this chamber, the sides of your vision are just filled with flames. At first it feels like kind of just natural flames, and then you kind of concentrate and feel, no, these are like flames of indignation. These are flames of nature's fury that's within you. You've always embodied this sense of nature getting its revenge on the civilized world, or of not the civilized world, but those who would abuse it and its power.
Overreaching.
Yes, the overreach of man. You blink briefly, and you're hit with the image of the 7 sawmill burning before you. The sounds of Phelan whimpering the resolve that you had to kill every last one of them. The just like full fury in your heart that you felt in that moment for them daring to try to command your Phelan. It's been a pattern that's all throughout your life. You've had these flashes of just raw emotion that you can't really control and don't really want to control. And for that, you are attuned to Wrath. So you get the +1 to everything bonus. When we get to Gunn. What's going on with our... Did we lose Char, or...
We lost Charlotte.
Char dropped... Assuming internet.
I'll continue on to... Gunn. Okay, so Gunn, you're in a even weirder place than Asher. Wrath for you is almost a thing of the past. Your time as a mercenary was filled with times where you lost your temper, times where you lashed out at people just for getting on your bad side. You've always kind of struggled to stay your hand when presented with a challenge that you could overcome by force. But since finding Erastil and since learning the teachings of Mother Tiketz, you've tried to temper that anger and have, as far as this adventure has gone, you've managed to turn that wrath into something different. Of the group, you're the only one who actively donates to those who are less fortunate, without being prompted to, or without any kind of need for reimbursement. You go out of your way to solve problems for the less fortunate. You've somehow managed to channel your anger within yourself and towards others into this kind of new force, this divine energy that you're able to enact on others. And in some sense, that's kind of what, for you, being a redeemer of Erastil is all about, is like redirecting that hateful energy into something productive, and perhaps doing the same to others, making them see the error of their ways and channel their hatred for good.
Like they'd be able.
Yes.
Yeah. We haven't always managed it, but yeah, I agree. I think Gunn is making an effort to change in that respect.
So you're very... Yeah, you're in a weird position. You're kind of at both ends of the spectrum. You've had a lot of wrath in your past, and you've had a lot of kindness now. And though you're not yet quite a beacon of both, you're so strongly aligned with both that you're still effectively attuned to wrath. You're able to harness this kind of fiery energy within you that this place is building up. So you are also attuned to wrath. So yeah, it is a +1 to
Fun.
all checks and damage, basically.
Okay.
Yes, Torger, it is hard to to give
I think
everybody
he's done
their
a pretty good job. Like we got these
moral
messages,
assessments.
and this one for Gunn in particular has been the key to like his whole character, is that struggle. And yeah, he's like really on both ends. He'll either save you or kill you.
Yep. So we'll see how that develops further on. But okay, so yeah, you can see this massive chamber. There's clearly a large pillar at this far end of the room. It looks like perhaps you can just kind of barely see it. You need to step forward a little bit to get a clearer view of what's at the top. But it seems to go up pretty high. This is a very high vaulted room. You can actually see up above, there's clearly some kind of mural as well. You can make out part of it. It looks like a bit like an open sky with a lot of clouds and flames streaking through it. But you can't quite make out the full thing from in the hallway. So what would you guys like to do?
Well, this room certainly does not appear to be destroyed. There's not anybody here yet. Nobody in the room that we can see.
No, it seems totally still, silent. There's aside from the flickering of the magical flames along the walls, just not a sound other than your footsteps.
Well, in terms of making an approach, I think maybe the best would be for Gunn to creep through the middle, Asher to go around one side or the other, and Greshy to hang out in the entryway.
I suppose I'll stay back if you insist. But again, if you get too far away, there's not much I can do. So I don't know how far back you really want me hanging.
Why don't we roll initiative here?
All right.
And you can tell me what you would like to roll for initiative. If you've got some... If you're trying to sneak around, you can roll stealth. If you're just keeping an eye out, you can roll perception.
At first I was like, what, we can just pick a number?
No.
20.
No, you pick your strategy.
I'm going to go cartwheeling through. Can I use acrobatics?
Yes, you could do that if you wanted.
I want to use my lure to enter the room.
Greshy's actually trained in acrobatics, so it wouldn't go the worst.
Why is he trained in
Perception
acrobatics?
seems fine to me, because
Sometimes you've got to dodge things.
He has to
He used to be a rogue, you know.
That's true.
He got
He is kind of
he got
trained.
shanked
Gunn
several
has a
times trying to
36.
dodge, but you know.
Okay, Gunn has a 36.
yeah, I'm mostly just trying to keep my wits about me and make sure I don't get too surprised by whatever happens.
I'd like to check for traps, I think. Can I do that, or is this exploration still, or is this actually...
This is kind of a soft exploration, soft encounter. But if your strategy is that you're looking for traps, then it'd be perception.
Okay,
Is your
then I'll do
initiative roll.
perception. Which is what I would normally be using anyway, so...
Like obviously, you guys
be
have stopped in this entryway and are
41.
suspicious of something.
We have
so-
41 now. But it didn't add me to the
Brain fart
tracker.
another
Let's try it now. There we go.
Okay, Asher, what are you doing?
I am gonna draw my weapon and keep an eye out for enemies that are going to attack us. So I'm going to
Okay.
assume that's perception. The nice 38.
All right.
I say, oh, nope.
You guys.
Is that right? No, that's wrong. I just rolled a
Okay.
perception check.
And
that
did you guys
okay, or
add
should I-
your?
The same-
Yeah. Unless
Okay.
you have some kind of, you might
Oh,
have
you're
special
right. So it would
bonuses to
actually be
perception.
42, wouldn't it?
yeah, I did not add the +1.
Sure.
Yeah, make sure to add your own
That
plus
should
ones.
actually
I'm
be
not going to
there.
remember it for you.
I don't have one, thank goodness.
I should set a mod that just gives me +1 to everything.
Yeah, you can do that if you want.
It'd take forever to do, but I'll maybe later.
Do it if you wish. Okay. Cool. So let's go ahead and start with Greshy with a 42. So
I mean,
offer this plan.
I'll get to the mouth of the entryway here, but I'm not going to go further in until I guess they get a chance to look around. And again, trying to see if this is a big open chamber with nothing else in it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're going to trigger something because of course we are, but I'm worried as to what it might be.
Yeah, it seems pretty
I
big.
would agree
and
with
empty.
you. I think the best we can.
Uh-oh. Okay. And we're back. Sorry, folks. Don't know why my internet just on this computer decided it would die, but
it happens again. Of course it does.
cool. Sorry. What was I?
Will, you're so dark. Oh, there you are.
Well, my
Alright.
turn was finished, and I was waiting for you to advance the turn, and then it never happened, and I wasn't sure what was going
Yes.
on.
Okay.
And then I realized you were dead.
Yeah, I don't know if I caught anything beyond you saying you were stepping forward and waiting to see
Oh.
what was going to go on.
Stepping forward again. It's very empty. It's very suspicious that it's very empty. I'm expecting something to jump out of somewhere, but otherwise, I'm not planning to do. Actually, I am going to go ahead and reach into my bag and pull out the wand of Longstrider. So I will have that in hand.
All right, so you produce the, you
Interesting.
take your bag and dig through it because it's in your bag, right? So
Right.
removing pulling off your pack, digging around through it, pulling out the wand and slinging the pack back on. Okay, a gun. With 30. Oh, sorry, no, it's Asher with a 38.
Oh God, it's me. I do have a question, actually.
Yes.
I know there's no great way of telling, but since we got in here, has it been 8 hours?
You don't know. Do you have some effect that is tied to 8 hours?
I have Longstrider on. So has it been 8 hours? Greshy reminded me of it.
We've explored
it.
2 wings so far.
We have, and we weren't quick about it, but I don't feel like we were super slow.
You still feel just as fast. It doesn't seem as if Longstrider is faded.
Okay. So it's something I need to keep track of if we eventually don't fall asleep or stop or do something.
Aye.
So I'll keep
to know.
asking if it's been
Okay.
8 hours.
Okay, I'll put
we there
a
yet?
little feather on you. Oh wait, no. Is there a bunny? I don't remember if there's a bunny icon. But okay, yes, it's your turn though. What would you
Okay.
like to do?
Let's see.
I mean, if Asher wants to go first, that's also
I
perfectly
will.
fine by me.
Well, I guess my character's. There we go. I'll cautiously move into the room. I
Okay.
guess I have to do
So you
20.
cautiously step into the chamber, and as you do, you can get a better glance at what's going on with this pillar at the far end of the room. You can see that there's
Oh.
a massive, like, steel or iron or some kind of metallic-looking statue standing
good sign.
atop this massive pillar. It's clearly of some kind of, maybe a woman. She looks like she's like wielding some kind of great bow, but it is a towering statue. It's a good 15 feet tall. Not 15. It's more like 20 feet tall. The room itself, the pillar that she's standing on is about 40 feet tall, and the room goes up to 80 feet. So it's
very
a
tall.
massive chamber. You can also see that there is thanks for the raid. You can also see up above is this big mural of what looks like a woman with fiery red hair riding on a red dragon through a flaming sky.
Pretty cool.
Alasnus,
I
right?
mean, yeah, you've seen Alasnist enough times. You immediately would recognize her as Alasnist.
That's fancy art, at least.
Is the statue the same woman, or is it a different woman?
No, it appears to be a different woman. But she does seem to have a large number of tattoos, like engraved on like her forehead and on her like arms and shoulder, like anywhere you could like see skin on the statue, you can see what appears to be like they actually did like detailed engravings of her tattoos. She's clearly some kind of like really buff looking archer lady that's standing atop this thing.
Are the tattoos? I don't know if I can see from here. They're not like runes, are they? They're just designs?
Oh no, they're definitely runes. Yeah.
Okay,
They look like runes.
They
Oh,
are.
okay.
Why would it be anything else?
Is there
But it
any
doesn't-
way I would? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say it's not moving or doing anything. It's just a big metal statue standing atop this pillar. You can see behind it too. That looks like maybe there's a corridor back there. That leads behind it.
Is there any way I would know who this person is, or I could think about?
Yeah, you could try to recall knowledge. Oh no, is my connection dying again? We're back again. Cool. I don't know what's going on with my internet
Yikes.
today. Okay. Quick, before anything else bad happens.
Charge.
Ah,
Parts the statue.
Sorry, Asher, you were asking me if you could think about who that was.
Yes.
Give me a society check if you
Oh,
were just trying to think about it. Otherwise, if maybe you have.
Oh, does she have a
access to-
nameplate?
I mean, you could use perception to seek on the statue if you wanted. Otherwise, you could do some kind of recall knowledge to see if you know anything about her.
I will. I want to perceive if there's a nameplate.
Okay,
Just want
yeah,
to prey on
perception
the
check
statue.
then.
A 32.
32. Okay, she is pretty far away and pretty high up. You can't quite see.
Squint.
You can't really see the base of the statue very well, so you're not sure if there's anything there. But there doesn't appear to be any kind of nameplate or any other indicator. You do notice, however, that the face of the statue, while it has a hood, there doesn't appear to be an actual like specific face. Like nobody has like engraved any kind of eyes or facial features onto the statue.
All right.
That's your
Still
second action.
Try and
Third
figure
action.
it out with society.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you
All
can.
right,
You
let's
can think
try
about
our best. Ooh,
Nope.
a 24. I can't see.
it. 24. That would be a critical failure in this case. You have no idea who this is. You've never seen anyone like it. It just looks like a big archer lady.
I've never seen this lady in my life.
I mean, you think maybe it's Alasnus when she was younger?
Oh, she had no face.
That would make sense. You get a face when you get older.
You get the eyes and stuff.
You have to grow into it.
Gunn, it's your turn.
Okay. I am going to step into the room. Can I grab my... I guess I gotta use the right tool for that.
Yes.
Okay. That's about... Yeah. Got it in one. All right. It's one action just to move forward.
Yeah, you stride into the
anything-
chamber.
Seem to happen in response, and do I see any movement or anything?
So you can
those-
see up to the statue. You can see the statue. One of the arms is starting to slightly move as you're making your way forward. The arm holding the bow is starting to kind of twist, and you hear this very slight creaking sound.
That's basically a ballista, by the way. At that size.
Forward or backward?
If we're
I
going
don't
to
wanna
investigate,
get
we have to find a way in.
Yep. I mean,
Can you
With a-
invisible
given that she has-
yourself?
well, given that she has a bow, Actually, that's not a bad idea.
I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put my hood up. And so 2 actions to interact.
Okay. To just like flick your Hood of Elvenkind up and cast invisibility on yourself. All right,
Yep.
you are invisible.
That's the end of my turn.
And is Rock taking an action? I don't remember.
No,
Does Rock get a
Rock's
free
one-
action?
He
Yeah.
does, and his orders right now are to watch for our retreat.
Okay,
So
just stay back.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
however, this does seem like a decent place for him to actually contribute.
So, on the statue's turn, it does indeed continue to move and moves into an archery stance, and is going to it pulls from its back. It pulls out this massive iron arrow, pulls the bowstring taut, and is going to shoot at Asher, who is all the way in the back there.
How dare you? Maybe the arrow will have her name on it.
Roll 20.
That is a natural
just crashed on me.
20.
Oh,
Asher
this is
just
definitely going
dies.
to crit.
no.
I'm not even going to
Time
add the
to
number
die.
because I know that will hit. We call that. Oh my goodness. Alright.
How many more die do you
Just
need?
wanted to read her nameplate.
That plus. This is a crit. Of course, I throw one of the dice on the ground. Plus that. Plus that. Cool. So the massive iron arrow flies forward towards you. It is the size of a ballista. As it's flying through the air, the iron kind of melts away, and from within the arrow is kind of this like gout of flame. So it just kind of turns into this massive flaming shot that hits you for 52 points of fire damage
Oh,
as it connects.
No physical. Interesting.
No physical at all. It just completely
how
becomes
magical.
the kind of steel exterior just like melts away and becomes flame.
Supposed to make sense. They do like their
Is going to
Levitation here, don't
take a second shot at Asher, since Asher's still visible there.
Still here.
Minus that is going to be that 43 to hit on the second attack.
That is exactly a crit.
Exactly a crit. Excellent.
Exactly.
crit?
I have
That's
a
a crit? That
33. It's my AC.
Wait,
Remember
33
Asher?
is your AC?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Asher's armor rune.
My
got turned
runes are
off.
gone.
Oh, right.
Right. Well, shite.
Plus that.
It's okay.
This time-
Jason deserves these hits.
I do. I really do. I worked so hard for them. The second shot
Work that you
is
put up with.
58 points of electricity damage. So this time, as the arrow is arcing through the across the battlefield, it bursts into just this bolt of electricity. So like lightning just strikes you, and that's all of its 3 actions. 1 to kind of get into position, and then the 2 to take its 2 critical shots. Top of the
Ow.
round, Greshy. So you cannot see the statue unless you pass the entryway of the hall. But you can
Can I see
obviously
what just
see
happened
that.
to Asher, though?
Yes, you did see that those 2 massive arrows go flying straight into Asher. And it
the hell
was
was
less of a
that?
critical. It was less of a critical hit by like marking a specific spot on Asher, and more just Asher just took the entire the arrow is almost as
Overwhelming.
big as Asher himself. So
How nice.
Well, I
It
have
was almost
some
impossible
heals.
to miss me.
So let's see.
Okay. I can
have.
take 2 more of those.
Yeah, let's not have you do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and blow my 7th level heal at you.
You hear Asher
And
wheezing.
we're going to boost you back up. So 59, 60, so 86 health back to you.
What?
Greshy quickly conjures up some regenerative healing energy to flow towards you. And with his third action, he'll urge Phelan on, and we're going to start moving. And
Okay.
Phelan has 55.
You dig your heels into Phelan. He starts galloping forward. Forward. He gallops around the corner to the left.
50. All right, we're going to make another target, I suppose. See what happens.
Okay.
That'll be it.
All right. Asher, your turn at 38, and Gunn is next at 37.
Ow. My bones. All right. I'm gonna hunt prey the statue.
Okay.
That seems it's pretty big. She doesn't really have to move. And from there, I will shoot with my puny little arrows.
Okay, you try to take a shot with one of your normal arrows that, they still burst into fire and flame, or fire and ice.
My baby arrows. Is the target within 50 feet? No. I'm gonna do a hunted shot for my first one. So a 43 and a 26.
43. Let's see. 43 will hit. The 26 will not.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll the damage for the 43.
43 is not a crit. Makes sense.
Wee. And I need my hunt prey, which is 2d8. Here they are. So 11 plus 6, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22. 11 piercing, 6 frost
16.
and flame, and 5 precision.
Okay, so you watch as the arrow just kind of crumples in, like it hits, but the whole arrow just like compresses. It just crumples into like a flattened arrow on impact. The little bit of frost does affect it.
Huh.
But then you see something weird happen. So the frost seems to kind of like harden and crack the aspects of the skin, but the fire then immediately kind of smooths it over. It like starts to melt a bit and then kind of refreshes. You just kind of like reveal Iron's freshest layer. So it effectively took no damage because you hit it and then immediately hit it with fire.
Cool. So
You've
fire heals
reforged
it. That's
it
good to
stronger.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Can I try and figure out what the statue, not the person, but what it is? Like, what is this?
Sure, you could give me an Arcana check or a crafting check
Ooh.
to recall knowledge on this creature.
Oh, crafting. They're both the same. I'm going to use my 7 points for this for fun.
Okay.
34 plus 7.
Nice. 41.
41.
41. Okay, that is a success on the recall knowledge.
Damn.
Yes, you would recognize this as an iron golem. It's definitely heavily modified from what a standard iron golem would be, but yeah, you would know that these things are healed by fire, slowed by electricity, and harmed by acid. And they are generally immune to spells and magic that are not its own. Aside from those 3 damage types listed.
Sorry, what was the last part?
It's immune to magic except for basically acid magic.
Okay, cool. Except for acid. And
That's
you
fantastic.
said electric slowed it?
Yes. Sorry, yes. Electricity slows it, acid harms it, and fire heals it.
Okay.
Important information to know at some point.
All right. I don't know if I can relay that to everyone right now,
I mean, you can.
but if I
yeah.
can, I would.
However much
Yeah.
you want to relay.
And that'll just end my
Okay.
turn. I will relay, don't shoot it with anything but acid or electricity. Electricity will slow it, and acid will hurt it, but everything else is no good.
Well, that's not
Especially
great, but
fire.
good to know.
No fire.
No fire. That's
And I guess while I was giving you those, you also know that it is resistant. Obviously, you just saw it. It is resistant to physical attacks other than adamantine. Gun.
Oh.
Okay.
do we want
We
to stay
are-
and deal with this, or do we want to leave?
I feel like we can deal with it. Greshy, do you have anything that can hurt it?
I have no acid. I have electricity.
You have adamantium weapons, Gun.
That's
No.
why I said we can try, but I'm saying we may want to leave and come back and regroup.
We may want to figure this out.
Yeah, let's do that. Strategic retreat.
This might be a hard one.
I think we moved Phelan much further. I'm glad I didn't.
I will.
We took one of the two actions.
I'll move. What's the best way I can drop invisibility without wasting too much time? Probably to take some kind of offensive action against the statue from here, but I don't think I have anything that can reach.
I mean, you could, for an action, you could just drop the hood to dismiss it.
Yeah, I suppose so. And that would... I was just seeing, like, do I have any cantrips or something? Because I also want to get its attention. So that it's not continuing to shoot at Asher.
I'll tank.
So... Nope, no spells that would really do the job. I
Think
will
faster.
move back. I will move back. Tell everyone to get behind me. And I'll try to intimidate the Iron Golem. I'll take my hood down and shout at it that it's more like nickel.
All right.
Unfortunately, so you use an action to try and intimidate it. I'm not even going to have you roll it. The steely gaze of the statue seems to not hear or care about whatever you're saying. It is its turn. Undeterred, it is going to make some more strikes. Sure, let's go for Greshy and Phelan the closest. So Phelan, we call that a
Puppy.
46 to hit Phelan.
It'll hit. That's a crit.
That's a crit. Okay. I'm just gonna roll all three attacks. Let's see.
Also a Phelan,
40 to
I assume?
hit. Yeah, 40 to hit Phelan.
Also hits. That is just a
But-
regular hit, though.
But not a crit. And then the third attack
Correct.
is a 26.
Miss.
A miss. Okay. So that is a crit and 2 hits. So let's go ahead and
A
just...
crit and 1 hit?
Or crit and
Yeah.
1 hit, sorry.
Phelan's going to be
much.
hurt quite a lot already. Please don't kill him unnecessarily.
That much. Okay. So from the first shot, as it arcs through the air, it bursts into ice, and deals a total of 65 points of cold damage to Phelan.
Oh, he resists cold.
Nice.
He has his armor. He resists cold. I think only 5, but still, we'll take it.
And then the next arrow that fires
Hi.
is 39 points of fire damage.
Warm them right up.
So, very ouch.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
But Phelan...
Did one of the shots miss Asher?
No.
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 No,
crit,
okay.
crit
Oh,
on
no,
Asher.
we're good. Okay,
He
yeah.
only... Yeah.
I'm like,
And
I thought I was
no-
tracking this
no
correctly,
other
which I
attempts.
was. Cool. Okay, sorry. So yeah, that was the 65 cold and then 39 fire. And then the last shot is
he resists
electric,
a bit of
but
the cold, but...
the electric shot goes wide. Top of the
And
round,
hits
Greshy.
Asher.
All right.
It hits the wall
well,
beside Asher.
Not great.
Ah!
Retreat maximum.
Well, I can
Don't
get all
worry,
the way
I
out of
can-
here.
Yeah.
So, I'm backing all the way out. Yeah, Greshy's gone.
Okay, so yeah, you guys are all before the statue, so assuming that you're just running down the hall, we can go and end combat here.
Yep.
We are wussing out for the moment so that we can reconfigure plans.
Yeah.
No,
we-
I'm staying
seems like we
here.
need-
No,
Wait, are
no.
you staying there? Okay.
No.
Seems like
I
we need to
was doing a
prepare
joke.
differently if we want to.
So you guys
You'll
flee
take that
the
thing out.
encounter with this iron golem as
too
it fires
scary.
off a
How
couple
many
more
coins do we lose?
shots into the corridor. No, you don't lose any coins. You just lose time, or for whatever time might mean here. So yeah, you guys regroup in the hall. I'll just use here as an example, but you're still relatively close to the to that area if you wanted to. Otherwise, you can keep going all the way back to the central chamber. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Let's go all the way back to the central chamber.
Well, they had the scariest room so far.
No kidding.
Oops,
And-
I've moved my brain.
And while we're doing that, we can decide whether we want to inspect any other rooms today or take a rest and reconfigure ourselves.
So yeah, you guys are kind of walking back, a bit dejected from having taken all that damage.
I imagine with the right plan, we can probably make short work of that thing. If it's harmed by acid,
My concern at the moment, though I agree with you, we can definitely plan around it, is that there's lots of planning around one thing in that wing. I don't know how big these places are, but if there's more and we're only planning around the one thing because that one thing is so intimidating, gosh, who
Mhm.
knows what's behind it. So,
well, our other option is to investigate one of the other wings and to the point where we find what the first obstacle there will be.
And hope it doesn't trap us there.
And if it's something we can defeat today, right, as we are, then great.
it's been a long day, hasn't it?
I don't know.
We've gone through a number of challenges.
Oh, it's really... I
you
know
all
we
feel
can't
pretty
tell what-
awake.
I know, but it still has been a long day. We've gone out
Mhm.
and there was the drow and then the dragon
Those are different days.
and then were those?
Yeah.
Drow and then the dragon when we
You did the drowned dragon one day, and then you
Oh, yeah,
went
they
to the
were.
We rested
Came in-
at
mountain
the.
entrance.
Oh, we did
you
rest out there,
rested
didn't we?
there. You
Then we
today
came in
you
here.
have
Okay.
you you
we've
basically
only done a
did the
couple wings then.
entrance.
I was thinking we did the other one at the same time, so never mind.
Nope.
It hasn't been that long a day.
Yeah, you did the entrance, you did the and you went to Pride, and then you went to
Alright, we've only looked a
abjuration.
couple places.
We-
Okay.
We haven't really.
Pride.
I suppose we might have used a little bit of resource. I think you used one.
I mean, I've used
Spell
several
there.
spells. I'm not like tapped though. I just don't have the
If we take a
breadth
short-
necessary for that.
If we take a short rest, we can get ourselves recovered.
I need to fix
tackle another
Phelan up.
direction.
He took a lot there, and I think
Mhm.
Asher could use a bit of attention too.
I could remix one of my spells.
And-
Instead of flame, I can have
Asher looks pretty
frost.
much fine.
Well, I'm going to be. I can hit multiple people. I'm going to be doing
Just
just medicine check.
Asher,
So
are
you
you
guys-
are you all right
You guys
now?
get back to the central
yeah.
chamber by this point.
Phelan looks hurt,
I could heal.
but
Yeah, I'm
I can heal multiple
187.
people with one, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to hit Phelan. I'm going to hit Asher. I'm going to hit Rock, since all three. And
Wait,
I guess Gunn.
with what? Oh, with a bandage
I-
medicine.
Yeah, medicine check.
Okay.
I can hit multiple people. So
Fair enough.
just takes me 10 minutes, and I need you all here for 10 minutes as part of it. I believe they can refocus, but I need to be here, and I need them here for the actual healing part. So we'll take 10 minutes as I'm just bandaging everybody up. We'll do a medicine check at, what is the master's DC 30, I think? So we'll go for that. How?
It was a 27. It was a failure.
It's a failure.
So you
Means
try
nothing
to
happens.
Greshy's
bandage
distracted.
everyone up, but you're pretty distracted.
Greshy's angry.
Oh yeah, there is still some vestigial anger left over from.
Well,
being
even beyond
all
that, he's
strapped
mad that they had to leave. He's mad that they're here. I'm mad about everything at this point.
So everyone's got bandages on them, but they're kind of loose fitting, and he forgot to apply the poultices, and you all
He's
feel
just
about the
distracted
same.
as heck.
Yeah.
Well, screw it, and I'll tap Phelan and just give him some better attention and heal him up with focus point instead.
All right, and I'll cover Asher the same.
That's lots at once.
And that should just immediately
I
fill
know.
Asher all the way. It's like,
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Okay.
and we'll take another short rest and think about which way to go next. But
So you
How
guys
about
mill
we,
around in the central chamber for a bit, kind of stewing on your defeat at the hands of the golem.
let's follow up on Lust next as the other opponent of Greed on the wheel.
All right. I was considering gluttony as well, but I think based on our lack of progress on what happened to the envy halls, we might as well just continue on trying to defeat greed straight up. So
I'm sure we'll test all of the different directions.
oh surely, but and this pool is supposed to be somehow where we forage things.
Seems that way. I mean, the water skin hasn't quite done it correctly just by being immersed, but
No, there's something else we're missing. I'm not sure if
So-
it's this Athelian stuff or not, but I don't think so.
I don't think that's why they were creating this substance. They were using it, intending to use it as a weapon in order to secure this place.
Mhm.
Incidentally, I wonder if that would work on the golem. Asher, do you suppose the golem would be vulnerable to dispelling?
Do I know that? Jason?
You could try to recall knowledge about that as well.
He
Let me
did tell
think
you.
about it. Did he tell me?
He said it was immune to most magic, at least.
Yeah, to most magic, but I don't know about dispelling.
Aye, fair.
Well, I'm wondering if I went invisible and approached it and just dumped a bunch of that stuff on it.
Oh, and
I
to
could
be
fly
clear,
over.
when electricity hits the iron golem, it would be slowed instead of whatever the normal effect is. I think it doesn't take the damage.
Gotcha.
Right, which is
I assume.
not helpful at all then, since I would have had
I'm
absolutely
asking
nothing.
Asher, hypothetically, if I took a bag of that anti-magic water that we found, or like liquid stuff that we found, flew above the golem invisibly and dumped it on its head, would that break it?
Let me think about it. What are my checks again? It was either crafting or arcana?
Yes.
Can I aid that?
You can't aid a recall knowledge unless you're doing like research in a book
Okay.
or like in a library or something.
Yep. By asking very pointed questions is not enough.
Oh, 29.
29. What was the question that you were trying to ask there?
Can
Would we be able to break it by just dumping this dispel magic water on its head? Or over the top of it?
from the conjuration room, right?
The
Or no,
abjuration room.
The abjuration, yeah.
The Athelian specifically is what they're referring to.
Yeah, you don't really know anything about Athelian outside of those notes that you've got. Yeah, with a 29, that's still yeah, you wouldn't know anything really about whether or not that'd be strong enough to bypass the golem's anti-magic. It's possible.
Well, I don't think we should bet that weapon on a lark that's possible.
Until we know how to make more, definitely not. That
So-
stuff seems valuable for possibly many things, depending on
Yep.
how it's used.
Yep, that was just a thought. Since it's a creature that seems to be immobile, that it
Mhm.
might be a good target for using that kind of a attack against. But in any case, let's shall we proceed down one of these other passageways?
Oh, aye. Lost, we said, aye?
Yeah, that works for me.
That sounds like a good time.
Greshy's
so,
going
mean,
in.
At this point, I'd probably be fine with anything except greed. I think we should wait on greed.
She's ready.
Greshy's already.
Never seen Greshy so excited for a haul before.
He's
Man,
so
oh,
excited
man.
he just rammed himself into the wall.
I can't get out.
Goodbye, Greshy.
Oh no, he's glitched into the wall. He's like ragdolling.
Oh,
Just
Greshy,
jittering.
no.
Same formation.
It's a Skate 3 video. Alright. Yeah, I guess roughly the same formation. Gun. It's
Mhm.
a gun.
I think that formation is
ahead.
probably going to be our go-to.
Okay. I just have to rearrange it here. Okay. And here I actually gave you guys enough runway, so... Sure, let's do something
that is
like
long.
that. Okay. Let me see what can even be seen here.
Asher, you're particularly strong against enchantment. Is that right?
Am I?
Do you want to lead the
Wait,
way on this one?
where did you
Might
get the
be
information that I was
better
strong against
if-
enchantment?
Well, you certainly haven't been affected by as many as I have.
Oh, that is true.
I think you've resisted quite a number that I've seen.
I am far too stupid
Would
to be enchanted.
would it be better if we had Asher in the front here, do you think?
Yeah, I am more than happy to lead down the.
I'll
Makes
try
it
to
sound
stay
like Asher wants to do it.
I'll try to
but-
stay like 10, 15 feet behind Asher.
Alright, time to
Okay.
scout.
Alright, so Asher's gonna go ahead and scout. What are the others doing? As you guys make your way down the
Watching
hall.
for traps, I suppose.
And detecting magic on my end.
Oh, I'll fall right into those traps.
Okay. So as you guys make your way down the hall towards the iron cages of lust, let's see. So here, the omnipresent lights emanated from the stones start to fade as you make your way down the hall, and are eventually replaced with small red gems at the kind of base of the floor that give off this very striking red light, and they kind of create this kind of like walkway. It feels like you're walking down a runway into a pleasure zone. As it feels very
The
like
fun zone.
kind of moody and romantic. Let's see, as you're walking along, we'll do Gunn first. So Gunn, as you're kind of standing in the middle, sword and shield out, but keeping an eye out for traps, you're expecting something, some kind of emotional rush to hit you as you're making your way through the hall, and nothing ever really does. You've always turned down advances from others. Romantic advances have never really been your forte, or perhaps you just never really felt like you had the time to do so. Your cause has been your life for a number of years now, and the relationship feels like to you would just get in the way of that. You've got your friends and allies, sure, but it's not quite the same thing as a family. It feels close, but maybe you're just not quite there yet. There's Erastil teaches that the family is like the ideal thing to reach, whatever that family may mean to you, and maybe Asher and Greshy are that, but you don't know. You haven't really like had time to, or felt like you had time to think about it. You've been so focused on Rock, and training with him, focused on your quest to defeat Karzug, that you just haven't really given it much thought. It's never, love and lust have never really been your thing, and maybe never will be, and maybe that's fine. So you are unaffected by the iron cages of lust. Greshy. Could kind of repeat the same thing for you, I suppose. You've always been alone, and the only thing in this world that you really truly love is Phelan, and that's not really it's somehow different. It's not, he's not a pet to you, but he's not really family. He's like a guardian. He's been given to you by nature or by something, to see you through this world. He is more, at times you think of yourself as his shepherd, but oftentimes it feels like he's yours. But it's really just a friendship and a partnership. It's certainly not lust. Let's not go lust for a dog chat. Come on. It is a form of love, but it's not a strong enough form of love to like really create to really like attune yourself to it. You Greshy still don't feel like you even really understand the concept of love or why anybody would want such a thing. You are more than content to just live life the way you've always been living. And if love were to happen to you someday, sure, but it hasn't really mattered to you. You two turned down Shaylus's advances. You two have, you've never really like advanced yourself towards anyone truly. There was that orc at the inn, but even then, that's what the orc at the inn at Turtleback Ferry.
There was?
I was going to say.
It was very brief, and I don't think you ever
Greshy
talked to her again. You talked to her briefly
absconded.
and were interested in... No, he didn't
It's a bit of
abscond.
flirting, but
There was like a little bit of flirting.
no, we didn't go.
Okay.
It was a bit of fun, but didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, there was some flirting with the bar orc, and you
I
talked
don't
about
recall
maybe
it.
meeting up for drinks again, but life got in the way. A flood happened. It's ancient evil unleashed on the town. You know, always gets in the way of a second date, right?
Now you say that, I wonder if she survived. I didn't even check on her. I feel a little bad about it. But it kind of goes to
exactly
the point
what
I
I'm
think you're
saying.
making here.
Whoops.
Greshy is not one for connections with this world. He's got his friends. That's all he needs. Asher, you didn't think that you needed love and didn't think that you needed family at the start of the adventure, but something has changed inside of you as you've gone on this quest. Gunn, Greshy, Thalen, Rock, they've all started to become more like a real family for you, a family that you didn't have growing up. You kind of, as you're walking down the hall, you instinctively reach up and like touch the amulet that your mother left behind. The amulet that seems to be the source of your druidic power. And you feel like she would be happy for you. And you feel like these friends would be friends that you'd be more than happy to to bring home to her and to have like to like bring into your family, to form, you feel like you've effectively formed the family that you never really had. Your absent dad, who went off on the revenge quest to kill a dragon, even he has...
No, he went off on a love quest.
A love quest.
Then a revenge quest.
A love quest that became a revenge quest.
A love venge.
You've met him, and even though you hated his guts, somehow even that relationship has turned into something genuine. You feel like you have a much stronger connection to Jakardros and to Shalelu, who you didn't even know was your stepsister until very recently. Well, I mean, until you met Jakardros, I guess. You went from feeling like you were the loneliest person in the world to suddenly having a number of really close friends that you feel like you would do almost anything for. There was that hesitation, that almost, but no, you would do anything for them. That sense of love deep inside your heart is resonating here as you're walking through the cages of lust, and you are empowered by the lust zone.
Boy. This is my first empowerment.
Interesting.
Hooray. Lust power.
In the first zone we went to, the opposite attuned people got a negative, right?
Yes, no one here has been oppositely attuned to this zone. You are just both neutral.
Oh, but
Oh,
love
sorry, were you-
isn't. Like if this was the lust zone and it's the axis is love lust,
Oh, if you're either, you get attuned. That's what I did.
think
in
you're
the other
misunderstanding
sense
what's
as well.
causing the negative.
Yeah, I wonder what caused the negative then.
What were you attuned to, and what's the opposite of it?
No, it was when we went to the Pride area.
Oh, that's actually a thing I haven't been doing. I forgot to do here. Let me see. Fuck.
Oh, perhaps there is something else.
There is something else, and
Now I get owned.
Well, that's what I thought was happening, but maybe it's
Yeah.
not, or it's
it's a
additional.
little.
I thought
It's a little complicated. I forgot to do it in the last two. Let me do a quick look here.
it's fine.
You don't have to
that
punish
would
us or
be-
anything. You don't have to apply penalties. Don't worry about it.
No, I love applying penalties.
No,
I
I
just
think
thought-
we're fine. I think we're
I
good.
just spent
It's
this whole
great.
time thinking that
and,
Asher and Greshy were attuned to humility,
Oh,
and that's
No,
why they got
no,
negatives.
they were
in
not.
no,
no,
that's definitely
no,
not why.
in this case, actually, Gunn and Greshy, you do feel a bit put off by the energies here.
Yeah, this place is pretty gaudy, messed up.
I'm enjoying myself. I think. I feel
Yeah.
pretty.
Okay. Sorry, I
lovey-dovey.
double checked.
Like-
Yes, you two are supposed to have a penalty. Asher has the bonus.
I may not know what I'm looking for, but this for sure ain't it. Ugh.
Are you looking for a hug? I always have a
Aw.
hug for you, Gunn.
Aw. Let's keep watching for traps, though.
Okay.
For the moment.
An eye out over his shoulder. Fine.
All right. Cool. So in this zone, Asher is boosted with love. Do I have a heart? There we go. And Gunn
Does
and
that all
Greshy
boost?
are set. You get a +1 to all checks, attacks, saves, and damage.
Okay.
-2 is so rough.
And the other two get a -2. And someone asked earlier, no, the pets are not affected.
Good.
They're not quite awakened
That's
enough
because Phelan's best
to,
boy.
to have sinned or not sinned. Okay. So yeah, as you're continuing your way down this chamber, you see it opens up to a bright red space. You can see there's a kind of white chalky path of stone that leads to a massive it looks like a massive tent made of like flowing silks. You're not sure how it's like held up because it looks very flimsy. It has these like massive like silk sheets that are just kind of billowing there. In front of the building are two simple braziers, and there are a number of just kind of loose pillows and cushions lying about. You can also see the symbol of lust, which looks like a giant half of a heart, etched into the stonework below. Asher, I think you can also see what look like two humans of kind of pale skin. One of them is maybe slightly bluish tint to her skin. The other, you're not sure what gender they are. But they're both wearing like very tight, like tight and skimpy leather clothing, and are currently like rolling around on some pillows, off to the side there on the right.
Aw,
Rolling around.
how comfy. I also
you can hear
have the
hear
same
faint
problem-
giggling up ahead. Oh, you have the same problem on this map? Fuck. 1 sec, though.
Yeah, where my character can't see. I just assumed the room was dark, but now I
Yeah,
understand
me-
it's not.
It's not dark. You're supposed to be able to see.
Okay,
There we
there we go.
Okay. So yeah, you can see the hall opens up into this massive chamber, and you can just make out these two figures
Ooh,
that are rolling around in some pillows.
they seem
do you
to
guys
be
wanna do?
having fun. There are two people up ahead. They look like they're hugging.
That sounds friendly. Do you want
Sounds-
to talk to them?
Not unexpected.
They might be friends. They might attack me when I go out there. I can
I
always
mean, I'm
pop
sure
out
they'll
and
attack
wave.
you because everything seems to attack us here. But
I'll just
Go
wave.
with you.
Oh yeah, let's wave together.
Bark again.
Oh.
You hear kind of some meagered human barking sounds off to the left.
Is there another dog in this room?
You don't see another dog.
Oh.
So as you enter, you can
Goodness.
see much more clearly that all around this tent are what appear to be iron cages sitting on the ground. Around them are various pillows, blankets, candles, incense. There's also these massive pillars all over the chamber. And attached to some of the pillars are kind of hanging bird cages. But they are massive, like 10-foot 10-foot diameter bird cages built for people. You can see in some of them are actually no. The only one that you can see into there appears to be a person. Currently on all fours. He's wearing appears to be a man. He's wearing very, very short leather shorts, completely shirtless, but has some kind of like black leather, looks like a dog mask, or like half of a dog mask on his face with little black puppy ears. And he is currently wagging his butt, and you can see he's got some kind of clip-on tail attached to his shorts. He's currently in one of the cages, and he is he's kind of running around in circles, acting like a dog. While two of
not
these
a real dog.
while two of these people with pale skin are currently jeering up at him. One of them is holding a whip in her hand. Eventually she turns and notices you standing there in the doorway, since you weren't hiding in particular.
Oh.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, who's that? She lowers her whip. The dog man goes silent as he turns and kind of puts his little paws up on the paws in quotes up on the cage to kind of look at you, and is like making a kind of like fake panting sounds. The woman starts to kind of glide towards you, and it's at this point you notice that she's got small little red wings protruding out of her back. She kind of like just glides over towards you. Oh, who's this? Has someone come to play? Oh, you've got so many friends. Hello.
Can we figure out what this is?
Like,
can I identify
knowledge?
What the hell this is?
But actually, I would like you guys to roll initiative. It can change depending on what you're trying to do. Like, this isn't combat yet. She hasn't, like, attacked anyone. But this is an encounter, so I guess choose your approach.
Could you toggle the lights again? I had to crash and restart.
I mean, I
my character
would
sheet.
want to try and identify what this is so that we know how to approach it properly.
Okay.
Because I have a suspicion, but I really don't know if I can. There's more information that Greshy might know.
Okay, I would let you use religion then as your initiative.
I mean, it's worse than perception, but that's okay.
Or society. Religion or society.
Is my society any better? No. We'll do religion. That's religion for that. And we just button. Did you roll twice? Should be 35. Actually, it'd be a 33 since in a bad wing.
I still can't see anything.
Can't? Let
Wait a minute.
me
Did it actually roll right?
toggle your vision.
Oh, that's not right.
on and off.
There it is.
So what my perception mod?
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Actually, 31 then. Okay.
Let me roll some initiative for these guys. Just to see what we get. So 29, a 30. This guy's got a 12. $37. Nope. Roll the die across the land. And a 26. What's Asher's approach here?
I'm
What's
being
he-
diplomatic.
Okay,
I'm
go ahead
saying
and roll
hello.
diplomacy then.
Oh dear.
Do you want to
18.
reroll it? You have your hero point still.
Oh, I didn't do my valid. I didn't click my tracker, but it was an 18.
All right.
I
Yeah,
can
you
still be
obviously you can
diplomatic.
hero point if you want, but
No, I'm alright.
let's get a sort going.
A
Okay.
lot of people on that initiative tracker. I don't like that.
Friends.
You hear some giggling over here as the two that had been playing on these pillows stop and look at what's going on. One of them kind of flies up a bit to get a better view of what's happening. Oh, oh, they look handsome. Greshy.
What the hell is this thing? Is it the succubus or?
Give me a proper religion check to go ahead and make the recall knowledge.
Let's see how bad this was going to be. I'm going to go ahead and use my hero points to reroll that.
Okay, that was a 29 on a natural 8.
It's still a 29, so...
It's still a 29
stay
on a
there.
natural 8.
All right, well, I get what it is. I do not have dubious knowledge for what it's worth,
You
so
do not have dubious
I could-
knowledge.
so it's just whether I know or don't know.
Interestingly, you actually do know what these creatures are.
Really?
These are Alu demon submissives. They're like spawn of a succubus. They're usually half like human, half succubus. So they're kind of like tiefling adjacent creatures. These at least don't look like they're full Alu demons. They're probably part. They almost certainly have like a humanoid parent. But they are usually completely submissive to some like greater succubus or incubus that controls them.
Sure.
That's what you would
Perhaps
get
a
on
matron of some sort.
on a success.
Oh, great.
But you could attempt to recall further knowledge about specific things if you want.
Know how we really want to approach this.
You see,
Right.
Asher hasn't like fully like aimed his bow
On into the
or anything. yet.
right.
You-
Well,
everyone's.
I kind of have my staff in my lap as I'm writing on Phelan. I'll leave it there, I suppose, and call out, "Is your matron about?" And see if that inspires some reaction from this one.
Oh, you're here to see the mistress, are you? The
Oh, we might stop by and say hello.
One of the other ones starts giggling, and she flies a little bit, flies a little bit closer. The one that had flown up to you guys and up to Asher. Oh, darn! You're here to see Mr. Stelvaheen. Oh, and I wanted to take you for myself. And she kind of flies up close to Asher, and like reaches out a hand towards your face to like she's going to try and gently caress you. You're like leaning back away from it at the same time. But she doesn't touch you. She just gets close and then kind of pulls back. Damn. Well, who do we have the honor of bringing to my lady? Gunn. Oh, they are talking in common, actually.
They are. That's good to know. Since that's how I would have dressed him anyway. I missed Mistress.
Enemies of cars.
What was the mistress's name?
Whatever you heard is what you heard. You can ask again if you want.
I
Yeah,
just didn't
it's
quite
Gunn's
catch
turn.
it. That was all. But
Gunn's turn then.
Mm-hmm.
I will speak in and say, enemies of Karzug seeking information.
Give me a diplomacy check.
Can do. Diplomacy of
Ooh,
natural 20.
Natural
for
20 for 44.
his
minus
Holy.
2.
attractive face.
42.
it's 42, isn't it?
Oh, okay, so 42.
That's pretty meaningful still.
She immediately kind of backs up and like crosses her arms a bit
And by the way, I step up
As
next
you-
to Asher as well.
as you approach. More of this then. Fine. She grew so bored of the last one, though. I don't know if she'll really like the sound of this. And she starts to kind of flit away.
Hold on,
If you guys aren't...
before you go.
Yeah.
Who was the
Yes.
last one?
Oh, that Vrexeris man from the Halls of Pride. You know, the really pompous one with all the purple, the blue.
Hmm.
He's so handsome, but Master Delvaheen wouldn't let us have at him.
You have clones. Perhaps you could borrow them.
Clones?
Or
Ooh,
copies of himself. They all look the same.
That does sound fun. Maybe next time we see him, maybe the mistress wouldn't mind sharing with us as well.
Sorry,
Well-
out of turn there.
No, no.
Just-
It's a good thought. 6 of them, 6 of him, roughly.
Well, ladies, these are for the mistress, she says, kind of resigned sigh, and she kind of looks back to you all and kind of gestures loosely for you to follow. And we can drop out of initiative
All right.
if you're not
Okay.
attacking them.
Not
Yep.
intending to unless they decide to get hostile on us. But
You seem very
But
friendly.
how's this flying space in this chamber?
In this chamber, it's actually so this chamber is massive. It is a good maybe 120 feet tall, and it's super wide. How wide is it? It's
Cool.
yeah,
So-
about 185
so Rock
feet
can
wide.
actually like fly around in here.
Yes, Rock would be able to fly around in here if he wanted. The building in the center is only maybe 25 feet tall, just purely
Mhm.
seems to be just made of stilts. And so you could fly over this building that's in the center. And there's clearly like pillars and stuff behind it. You can see
Let's see
all
if there's
around
a good
there are
place
some...
for him to perch.
Sure, there's the immediate closest place to perch is just on top of one of these bird cages. So if he wanted, he could just kind
Maybe
of fly
not
up
there.
to. Oh, he
I was
doesn't have
thinking
to.
like as we go up, if assuming we're going towards the tent, he
Yeah,
probably
she
won't
seems to be
come
leading
into the
you
tent, but maybe he can.
towards the tent itself.
Okay.
She's just kind of lazily, like, fluttering along the ground, just barely hovering as she leads you up. The other Alu demons kind of fly up to the sides of the path to get a look at you from afar. And I guess Rock has made his way straight into a pile of pillows. Okay, he's going on top of the building.
If
Okay.
there's a spot that looks like sturdy enough for him to perch on the edge of the tent, I'll probably do that.
He kind of flaps up there and looks at it for a bit, and he seems a little uneasy about trying to land on it, because it really does just look like it's just billowing fabric. There doesn't seem to be any frame of this building.
All right. Well, then pillows it
he
is.
he looks down at you as if to see if you want him to try.
No, I'll gesture him down to the pillows here.
Okay, so
Probably
he
fine.
just lands on one of the piles of pillows near the entrance, and starts to kind of, with his talons, like, pick them up and shift them around, tearing into them as he does so. But your guide leads you up to the front curtains, and well, yeah, she looks at you all. Put your weapons away. You don't want to scare them. And she will.
I will
Oh,
do
sure.
that.
She pulls some curtains
Ooh.
aside, and you're greeted with a large room full of pillows. There's also these 5 large cushions, on top of 3 of which are seated massive giants with pale skin and kind of billowing white hair. They all appear to be kind of like they're all wearing kind of wispy clothing and gowns that are just kind of constantly flowing. It's like they're kind of surrounded by air magic. But they, on seeing the curtains open, they kind of start to move, and your guide kind of steps in and says, "Oh, no, it's just some guests for the mistress. Don't worry about it. Come on, follow me."
Perhaps I'll bow formally or something.
Just
Sure.
walks
Yeah, you
right
can-
in.
you can awkwardly bow,
Entrance.
and your guide leads you off towards
Step them
towards one of the sides of this room.
They look pretty majestic, these giants.
Yeah, the very majestic giants, seeing you kind of move around with the guide, grow disinterested, and one of them, the one in the center, turns and makes his way over to Cloud Giant in the other corner and starts making out with him as you guys pass through another curtain
Kisses.
off to the
Tentative
side.
kisses.
All right.
It does appear to be in
Yeah,
a very
moving on.
narrow hall, so Phelan won't quite fit in there.
Oh, can I shrink him down then to puppy form?
Yes, you can. So you shrink Phelan down into
I'll do
puppy
that.
form, and she leads you through a very narrow passage into a kind of central area. There's 4 massive beds here, and flanking 2 of the beds, or sorry, sitting at a stool on either side of 2 of the beds, are a very familiar creature that you've seen before. A kind of white, ghostly thin, naked humanoid thing with glowing eyes. When you last saw a shining child, they had this massive aura of light emanating from them. But these 2 seem to be very, very calmly, just sitting very calmly. They're giving off a very soft glow, but they seem to be kind of like reserved. One in the corner is masturbating. But she'll lead you over here.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Please, just take a seat
Got her
anywhere.
thing.
Just don't sit on the throne, please.
Ooh.
The mistress will be out to see you in a second. And she'll kind of flutter,
Take a seat.
Don't
Away.
sit anywhere.
Yeah.
and
Take a
she passes
seat
through
in
one of
the middle of the room.
one of the curtains on the side. She parts and passes into a back room.
I'm so close to a bed.
You
I
all
feel like I'm just going to be
uneasily-
ill being in this room.
Greshy, it's a good spot. All right.
Okay. The 4 of
Not
you are
gonna
kind of
Make eye
left here.
contact with anyone. I'll make eye contact with Greshy. Hi, Greshy.
Hi, Asher. How's it going?
You need a hug? Nope, that's not
Not here.
okay.
I don't know. I don't know what this place is, and I don't like any of it. Why aren't
You
the
hear
shining
s-
children attacking us?
They
When
seem
you say
preoccupied.
that, did you
Oh.
say that aloud? If you say that aloud, one of them
I did.
kind of turns and looks at you. It's the one who's masturbating.
Cha.
I suppose that
Don't look
explains
at
that.
they don't stop. They just continue to stare.
Okay.
Hi, Greshy.
Sustaining a spell is one of your 3 actions, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna-
Unless you have effortless concentration or something similar.
Okay. I think maybe while we're waiting, I will cast Familiar's Face, which does not require line of sight to your familiar to do it, and lets me, as long as I choose to sustain it, see through Rock's eyes to see what's happening outside.
Okay. What are the components on that spell?
Good question. I may not have. Oh, there it is. Somatic material. No verbal.
Okay. So you pull out like one of Rock's feathers that you have in a sort of pouch and gesture with it. The 2 shining children look at you. And don't seem to mind whatever you're doing.
Okay.
You can hear muffled whispers coming from the back room.
Through Rock's ears, or
No, sorry, through the curtains.
through the curtains. Okay.
Yeah, through Rock's ears. Oh well, I don't. You have to use an action to switch between them, or You
The
just
target
hear-
becomes a scrying sensor, allowing you to see through its eyes and use its other senses. It doesn't really say whether it's an action to change. I guess I don't know how scrying sensors generally work. But I assumed it was in addition to what you're normally seeing as part of the.
No, I think it's a
sustain.
replacement for what you're seeing. That's why you sustain it.
You also are able to command
Yeah.
an animal during that sustain, so it seems like
yeah,
it's,
here it says while the spell is active, you gain the ability. Oh, sorry. Yeah, to use this target senses instead of your own. Oh,
So it sounds like
Um,
just that action you can see through it, and then the other 2 actions you would do other things.
Yeah, okay. That seems right. Yeah, sure.
So a
For the
couple
action that you
seconds of
sustain,
every-
you're
Mhm.
kind of seeing it, and then cool. All right, sounds good. So you can kind of see that the other demons are currently just kind of flitting around Rock, who's kind of just uncomfortably shifting. But they're just kind of, they seem curious about him, and they're giggling and talking to themselves. But eventually, your guide comes back through one of the curtains. The mistress will see you now. And she kind of flits along the back of the room, and glances towards Asher and kind of like puts a finger to her mouth and kind of bites her lip a little bit. Talk to me later before you go, okay? I'd love to get to know you all better.
Friend,
Sure.
Asher thinks to himself.
100%. Right on board with that.
Friendship is very a new friend, family, platonic love interest. Huzzah! And I guess we're going in this room up here. Or are we go following her? We're not following her.
It wasn't immediately clear, but as you sort of get up and start to walk towards that passageway, a figure passes through the door.
Ooh,
Or like parts the curtains and steps through. It is a clearly elven ish woman with a very scarred looking face. Well, this scarred looking face? Hold on. I've got the... Do I? Oh no, I don't have her face in here.
She's not scarred, she's just scary.
Sure, she's just... yeah, she's... Oh, she does have some cool
I like
tattoos and stuff.
Yeah.
But she's got some clear, like, tiefling-ish, like, demon markings on her body. And she's got really heavy black eyeshadow. She's got almost, like, vampiric-looking teeth. Like, thick black hair cut, like, medium length. And she's wearing a kind of golden gown with lots of different jewelry on it. It's clearly some kind of like nightgown. She comes sauntering out, and oh, I see we do have some rather exceptional-looking guests today.
Greshy looks at himself and then looks at Asher. Not entirely sure who you're talking about.
Maybe it's Gunn.
Oh, that's right. Gunn's over there,
Gunn
though.
It's very.
Gunn will be keeping up if we're all moving over here.
Oh, as you move over there to approach, she kind of like gestures to kind of shoo you all back. No need to be so formal. Come. And she'll like hop onto one of the beds here. And just kind of lounge there. So, Aurelia tells me you want to do something about Karzug, right? Exactly what would that be?
Yes.
And that,
Are you concerned that he might?
No more talking. That is the end of the session.
No.
All right.
There's time to think about that question for next week.
Can I do one
Yes, you
thing?
can think about it. Sure.
Just what? It's a small.
Okay, fine.
No, Asher just-
What one thing?
When she says get comfortable, he goes to the end of the bed, but on the floor, and then just sits down, so his head's just like this.
Yeah, so he's just sitting in between the two beds.
He's like
Sure.
comfortable.
He might
Sure,
be looking
everyone
up
else.
at her in an awkward angle, depending on how she's laid out.
He's just like this. He's like, all right, I'm comfy.
She kind of leans up a bit so that she can kind of see where you are. And like perks out her breasts a little bit. Fine.
Oh,
Gunn
boy.
and Greshy, where are you guys sitting? Or are you just standing? Or
Greshy's actually going to make Phelan big again and have him plop down basically in this four square right here. And Greshy's going to use him as a pillow.
Okay. So Greshy just kind of leans up against Phelan. Comfortably.
Yeah.
Okay. Gunn?
I think I'll keep
How are you?
standing right here for now.
Okay. You're just kind of awkwardly standing there, glancing back at the other shining
No,
child
definitely not doing that.
behind you. You think about glancing back, and then you remember what they were doing, and turn your eyes strictly towards Delvey.
Why do you think I cast Familiar's face?
So
The
you don't
outside
have
is
to
better.
look.
Hey, but is it though? Because they were doing some stuff outside too, and I'm not sure.
All right. Well, with that, we will actually end the session. Thank you all for joining us. Sorry for the multiple outages. I don't know what that's about. Hopefully it won't happen again. I blame Comcast. Cool. Well, that'll be it for this evening. Thanks for joining us. Watch our old episodes on youtube.com/thirdaction. You can find us live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv/thirdaction, or you can also catch up on various podcast apps, whatever you want. I don't care. Give us some follows and likes and loves, and join the Discord if you want to come argue with us about silly Pathfinder things. Yeah, that's it. Good night. See you next week. Yeah, I think next week is good. Next week.
Bye.